Hi, this is Lila Bashan. I'm a USA Foreign Service Officer, but all that we talk about here is nothing official. I am lucky to be joined today by my friend and colleague, Shambi Sharp. He is the United Nations Resident Coordinator here in Armenia. So, Shambi, thank you for talking with me today.
It's my pleasure. Always good to be on your show.
So can you, your position's like an ambassadorial level position in charge of the whole United Nations here in Armenia. Can you give a snapshot into what that entails?
Sure. Well, it's so basically the UN system here, let's say, consists of the UN family. It's 12 different resident agencies, UN agencies. So probably you've heard of UN Development Program and World Health Organization and UNICEF, Children's Fund, and UNHCR for refugees, and High Commissioner of Human Rights. So really, we cover pretty much the gamut of the full programming for the UN. It's basically promoting sustainable development, which includes also, of course, a lot of work on protecting the environment, about promoting, supporting human rights and dignity and refugee support, and really, you name it, we're active in every sector. So it never gets boring. And then, my job entails, of course, it's supporting the implementation of these agencies, but there's also a political component also. So it's really, it's very different every day.
Yeah, that must be so interesting.
It's very cool. It's very cool.
But now to be at this point in your career and looking back, do you remember why you wanted to have a career in international relations in the first place?
I think it really, I was really interested, let's say, in the international sort of lifestyle, I think, from pretty early on. As a kid, my favorite movies were the foreign ones. I'm not sure exactly why, but I was always just captivated by languages and travel and this sort of thing. So, and I was very lucky to have, really, my father was sort of the one that got me into traveling, and we were, I remember in high school, we went for a week. He took me out of school, in the middle of school, to go to Germany. We climbed Kilimanjaro when I was younger, this kind of thing. So I got some exposure there, and so I think that just really sort of fit. So I was always interested in trying to get overseas and to learn languages and just kind of explore the world.
Well, so how did you do it? How did you start on your career?
I think, so I would say, first of all, it kind of, in retrospect, I didn't know it at the time, but in retrospect, again, it started sort of early on. I mean, having those experiences, getting that interest. And then I just started to, so in college, in the summers, I was always pursuing opportunities to kind of get overseas. So during between freshman and sophomore year for the summer, I went, I just happened to have, at university, one of my best friends was a Swiss guy, Swiss American. And so he said, come stay with me for the summer and my father will get you a job or something like that. So I spent the summer in Switzerland, really helped tremendously for the French. Then, yeah, exactement. Tout à fait. So, 2 summers later, I think it was another friend of mine and I, we got this, I think it's called CIEE work permit to work in France, in Paris.
Oh, wow.
So I worked for a summer in Paris.
Doing what? What were you doing?
And this was the thing. I basically I asked my father, just for the sort of travel money, I mean, the airfare to get there. And he said, okay, fine. And like 2 weeks worth of living expenses. But we arrived with no job, no place to stay, nothing.
That's bold.
This was before internet, before mobile phones, before, any of that kind of support. And it was a real adventure. So we had to find jobs quickly and
what
earn
did you
money
do?
and this kind of. So this was pretty, this was pretty funny. It was pretty cool in the end. My friend and I, we were hired as bilingual security guards. And the original idea was that we would be guards at the U.S. Embassy in Paris. So of course, I thought, wow, this is so cool. I was 20 or something like that. And But then pretty quickly they realized the security clearance would take longer than the whole summer to get. So they instead put us on, a series of just different temporary jobs. So I was the first, I was the only security guard at the original Cartier store in Paris for like 3 days.
Wow.
Guarding all of this.
Nothing got stolen, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Nothing. Then I was a guard at the Musée Jeux de Paume, at the museum there for a few days as well. Then actually we were hired by the State Department. I mean, this company hired us to guard the American pavilion at the Paris Air Show, Le Bourget Air Show.
That's so random.
And I love this story. So one day, these two Soviet pilots sort of walked in. They had their kind of uniforms on and everything. And I had been taking Russian at university.
That's great.
Very, very basic. That's another kind of piece of advice. Again, take languages. And so I just sort of said, just some sort of something in Russian, And they stopped, and they were very shocked. I looked kind of very sort of official with my little, thing, and they were so surprised, and so we started talking a little bit, and they said, "Listen, we're flying our jets over Paris tomorrow. Do you want to come with us?"
No.
They invited me to join. So I thought, wow, this is incredible. And then next day, very low, overcast, low clouds, all flights were canceled.
But Shambi, it's such a good reminder that you don't have to have like the perfect job up front, and that like any experience you start to build will help you move in a direction. It's not like you became UN ambassador on day one.
No, absolutely not.
You were a security guard.
Absolutely not. It kind of started there. I think that's where I really got the bug, for this sort of lifestyle. But then I went back. I finished university.
What did you study? What was your major?
My undergraduate was business, basically business with a little bit of a focus on international business.
Yeah.
And this was at the University of Kansas.
Yeah.
My first sort of career actually was advertising, and it was cool. But I started to look around at sort of people I was working with, and I just thought, am I going to feel fulfilled in 20 years in this course of business? And again, nothing against it, but for me, I realized, I think this is where, so my father's influence came in terms of really supporting international travel and language and this sort of thing. My mother's influence was always very much around social justice and environmentalism and these kinds of things. And so I think that's where there was kind of a melding of the two. And I just thought, you know what, even if I'm doing something in a cool place like Paris, if I don't really feel a reward, personal reward, then that's not going to be enough. So I really started to kind of search around for different, thinking about what are my next steps.
Yeah.
Then, at exactly that moment in time, I met my future wife.
Nice.
Sarah.
Lucky guy.
Exactly. The timing was fantastic. Thank you. I agree. We met at an après-ski in Colorado, in Boulder.
Is that a bar?
It's just what you do after you ski.
Skiing. Oh, okay.
Actually, at a bar, yes, but after skiing.
Okay.
Two different groups of friends, and we just happened to be. And she had literally returned from the Peace Corps, sort of like a week, days before we met.
Wow. Yeah.
So here I was, really just ripe for kind of a new direction in life, and I'm talking to her and I'm learning about development for the first time. Somehow, I had just missed that whole option as an international career. So she was telling me about the Peace Corps. She just returned. She was in Palau in the Pacific, and amazing, experiences, and so I just really thought, wow, this is really cool development. That's great. And I said, I've got a great idea. Let's both go to the Peace Corps and do the Peace Corps together.
Yeah.
And she sort of laughed, and said the Peace Corps was one of the most amazing experiences of her life, but it's not something you're going to do twice, or at least not back to back.
Some people do.
Some do. It's very intensive experience. So we agreed. Okay, fine. No Peace Corps, but let's do some kind of a compromise thing.
Yeah.
So what we did do was we found a program where we could volunteer volunteer in Zimbabwe, a place that we had both been to before, briefly previously in our lives, for a shorter period, for a year. Because Peace Corps, I guess it's sort of 2.5 years sort of commitment.
And what was this called, the program?
So this program actually was called, it was small, and this is another kind of bit of advice for people who want to get experience and find it difficult to do that. There's a small program called Visions in Action. I don't even know, if they're still operational, but it was basically a market maker between people who want to volunteer and, kind of big organizations that are maybe seeking, volunteers.
Yeah.
So we applied to this and I ended up working with CARE International.
Oh, cool. That's great.
NGO in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
I was hired for a year or as a volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
and you get a little bit of stipend and
Yeah.
sort of thing. But so that was great. So it was a compromise, and so we did this kind of adventure for a year, and CARE International liked what I was doing. I loved it working with them there. We were doing really cool programming, and so they hired me on sort of in a regular position, and we stayed 3 more years. I mean, I realized obviously during that period of time, like, this is my life's calling.
Yeah.
International development. This is what I want to do. It's the perfect combination of everything that I want, of that lifestyle of travel and cultures and languages, and at the same time feeling like everything you're doing every day is about helping people.
Yeah.
So, and there are many different ways to get to that. This was the path that really resonated. And so I never looked back, even for a moment. It was definitely the best decision.
It seems like so often you take that chance and then something works out and it just propels you. You're like, how do I get back to Paris? I'm not quite sure. And maybe the goalpost moves a little, but you just need to take that chance, and you never know where it might lead to you, an ambassador.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My career has been 1,000 zigzags.
Yeah.
One, not even always one clear direction, but always. I think my advice to young people. I'm speaking often to young people, and my general advice is sort of 2 things.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, maybe this sounds a bit cliche or something, but this is more my mother's influence, which is do what you love to do.
Right.
Absolutely, 100%. That's the answer. Because you will be successful no matter what it is. And if you fight in any way against what you love to do, you're just simply not going to be the best that you can be. And then the other bit of advice is to, especially when you're young, you have no conception of how much time there is ahead to make mistakes, to learn lessons, to try different things. Now in hindsight, I can look back and it's wow. So, but when you're young, when you're in college or coming out of college, you have this feeling like 1 year matters.
Yeah.
I need to do this right away, or I'll fall behind.
Or if this isn't the perfect job, then my whole career is ruined. Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, you look back and again, it's not to willfully waste time or anything.
Yeah.
But you have so much time. So as long as you're just moving in a kind of a general direction, doors open.
Yeah.
Opportunities open, and take them, and just things happen. There's kind of a natural, I don't even know.
Like momentum.
We're sort of all on some cosmic escalator, that maybe it stops for a little bit, maybe it goes sideways for a little bit, but eventually it's always going up.
Yeah.
And this is what I've found. If you're trying things, and I also always say my motto has been,
you have a motto.
leap before you look.
Oh, wow.
In a way.
That's bold.
Yeah. I mean, as long as it's not actually off the building.
Not literally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But whenever you're faced with something that's a bit scary, career-wise, or just experience-wise, event-wise, whatever, I've always committed myself to things before I can even allow myself to get afraid.
No, I totally do that. I can't tell you how many times I've been on an airplane going somewhere, and I'm like, holy cow, what am I doing? I can't believe I'm doing that, but I'm already on the airplane. And
What did I get myself into?
Yeah,
that's right.
I totally agree.
Make that commitment that is irreversible.
Yeah.
And then just deal with it, and almost always you're going to be really, really happy for having put yourself in that position.
Yeah. No, I
You
love
know,
that.
it's just don't be afraid.
Yeah.
You know, don't
Yeah.
don't be. I mean, I definitely remember looking at people that I sort of idolized, or people or positions or jobs or things like that, and at times just feeling kind of defeated, and just like, how am I ever going to get there? Like that's so, it's just so far away.
Yeah.
Like looking at the moon, and
Yeah.
you just.
You're like, I'm a security guard at an air show in Paris.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, in hindsight, there's absolutely no reason when you're young to have any fear or to be concerned about that, or to because again, things just happen.
But I think it's really important to say, because I remember having anxiety starting out and being like, I really want to have this career, and what if no one takes a chance on me? What if I'm always stuck in lower level jobs? What if I fail? It's hard not to be anxious.
Absolutely, and you do fail at times.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely, we all fail at times.
Well, I don't, but
okay.
No,
I mean, I didn't mean.
No.
I meant theoretically.
But in retrospect, the failures can be just part of your journey, whereas at the time it feels overwhelming and
absolutely
hard.
I mean, there was certainly, I had a sense that I failed in a way in advertising. Like it was this thing, and I just thought, I just can't continue in this direction. And but then it opened up a whole new avenue that in the end I found out was the best choice I ever made career-wise. And I've never looked back, and it just feels like the best job in the world. So
and so many people would love that job. So many people want to work to the United Nations. Can you tell me, how do you get a job with the UN? How does that happen?
Sure. So again, it's a bit. I'll be honest. It's not easy.
Yeah.
I don't want to kind of rose-colored glasses on that one. But it really relates to if you are doing. I would put it this way.
Yeah.
Pursue, and this is what I did, pursue an international career, a career in international development, not necessarily UN or otherwise. Just do the things that you need to do for a career in international development, and then opportunities open up. So I really, after my experience in Zimbabwe working with CARE International, my idea was to pursue a career with CARE International.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was really, really cool work and a great organization. I really wasn't thinking about the UN at that point in time. But I did recognize that whether you're in an NGO, whether you're in multilateral, or what, for most people, at a certain time, you need to get a master's degree.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I went back, I did a master's degree, University of Colorado, Boulder, in economics. And it was at the end of finishing that master's degree, that I just one day, I saw an advertisement in The Economist magazine for the United Nations.
Wow.
It was kind of a mid-career leadership recruitment program.
Yeah.
It was called LEAD.
Yeah.
And it was apply online, and 5 essays or something. And I just thought, I'm never going to hear back from them. I'll do it. Fine.
Yeah.
Why not?
Plant
That's the point.
seeds. Yeah.
Always
plant
apply.
The seeds. Yeah.
I mean, it's like fishing or something. You have to be out there for hours and hours and hours and hours before you finally get something.
Yeah.
So I just applied, and then several months later, I think I heard back, said, you've made it to the next round.
Wow.
You're going to have a 2-hour phone interview with professional actors, role players. Okay, fine. So for 2 hours on the phone, with just role playing all sorts of different scenarios about management, kind of really a lot of emotional intelligence things. This is really what international organizations are after.
Yeah.
Oftentimes is just demonstrating emotional intelligence. And then that was done, and then a couple months later, or a month later maybe, I got a message. You've made it to the final round. Like this endless process. For 2 full days in New York, they flew us there. This whole group, 60 finalists for 18 positions.
Oh my gosh.
Turns out it had been out of 2,500 people with master's degrees, with a couple UN languages, with at least 4 years international experience. So it was one of these, look to your left, look to your right. One of you will be still here at the end of the process.
Yeah.
Extremely intimidating, for sure. But here's another kind of lesson I learned was that during my master's degree, of course, I had to do a thesis, and this was economics was my topic, and I wanted to do something. I didn't want to do financial analysis or currencies or anything like that. I wanted something socially applicable.
Yeah.
Economics is a social science. So I decided to model. I won't tell you how I got to this point. I was just looking for interesting topics to model the macroeconomic implications or impact of the HIV/AIDS epidemic on the Russian economy.
Wow.
So it was like pretty sort of esoteric.
Yeah.
Modeling macroeconomic impact of AIDS had been done in different places, in some African countries and such, never in Russia. So what I did wasn't necessarily novel in a way, but it was novel, innovative in terms of choosing a new country at a time when the epidemic was really taking off there in Russia. So my bit of advice to students always is really try to pick a cool, interesting topic for your thesis that's going to add to the body of knowledge, because then you have a much better chance of getting published, of really having it turn into something much more than just your thesis. And so that's what happened with that.
That's amazing.
Two things.
Yeah.
One, because I had done that work, I was armed with a lot of really relevant information about the intersection of health and human rights and economics and development and politics and this kind of thing. So that helped me a lot going into this interviewing process. And so, and then secondly, later on, it actually did get published and actually did really give me quite a fill-up in my career once I was hired by the UN. So anyway, I passed. I was hired. I really couldn't believe it. And to be honest, I think probably the most difficult stage was just making it through that first filter.
Right.
And that went from probably 2,500 to like 500. I don't know. I could maybe have applied 10 more times and not made it through that filter. I don't know what they were.
But that's why your advice to apply to many different possibilities and not be like, I only want to work for the UN, so I'll only apply to that. But to just plant the seeds and see what blossoms. Exactly.
Kind of have a general direction you want to go in and just plant as many seeds, absolutely for sure. Have as many kind of irons in the fire as you can.
And it's the website, right? That's how people apply through the UN website. They could go there and look and see.
This was,
jobs.
it was advertised in the Economist. Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's very easy to just sort of become dispirited, especially online applications. But just do it, and eventually, things can work out. But again, diversify your options.
Yeah.
So for international development, look at international NGOs. Look at the UN. Look at again. I really think Peace Corps is a fantastic option. I never had the chance.
Well, you can do it when you retire.
I can. Yeah. Also, the family aspect I think is kind of interesting and important. We have I have two children, a son and a daughter. I think they absolutely love and appreciate the lifestyle that they've had.
Thank you so much, Shambu. You're so awesome, and it's so great to hear. You are. It's great to hear your career progression, and just remember that you don't have to stress because it can take so many different forms, and you never know, you might end up as the UN ambassador.
It may happen.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, exactly. But just find your purpose and move in that direction, and whatever you do, really, you're going to be successful.
Leap before you look.
That's right.
So thank you. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe. And know that you're on your way.